Good morning. My name is Samantha Vance. I'm the Resilience Coordinator for Pause for Parents, Play for Kids, a nonprofit that provides rest, support, connection, and fun to families with special needs. Today, joining us on our coffee talk is Stephanie.Cole and Joel Purcell. They are here to represent Northwestern Mutual. They're going to be talking a little bit about financial planning and some services that will help benefit families in the special needs community. So let's go ahead and get started. Stephanie, Joel, do you guys just want to introduce yourselves and share a little bit about your role with Northwest Mutual?
Sure, I'll kick it off. Well, Samantha, thanks for having us this morning. And whoever's listening, thanks for tuning in. As Samantha said, my name is Stephanie.Cole. Joel and I are part of Northwestern Mutual, which is a financial advising and financial planning firm here locally, but also nationally. We serve a multitude of clients and really help break down all the moving pieces that go into building out comprehensive financial plans and services. I will circle back on my background, but I'll let Joel chime in first.
Yeah, and my name's Joel Purcell. I'm married to Jackie, who's also a financial advisor and runs our organization. But I've been doing this for 15 years, and I just really enjoy helping families come together and worry less about money. I've actually got a mission to make money a fun and a uniting topic for marriages, because that's often not the case when we initially have an introduction conversation. I've just found that if you can give people a plan and the right coaching, it really takes a lot of stress out of money.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that and giving us a little snippet of who you are and what you do. Yeah, so let's
Absolutely.
talk. Yeah, so I love that you mentioned too that you bring fun into talking about finances, because I know finances it could be kind of a not fun topic to talk about, right? And you have to feel like you're in a vulnerable state sometimes. So thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that. Yeah, so let's talk about this planning process kind of from the beginning. If you want to walk us through, let's say there's a family and they're like, I'm ready to grab a hold of my finances. What is the first step? Can you paint us a picture of what that looks like?
Absolutely. So the first conversation is really all about just getting to know the family, who they are, what they're trying to accomplish. And really it comes down to just asking a lot of good questions in that first meeting. And there is no minimum requirement to meet with us. There's a lot of firms out there that require you already have to have $1 million saved in order for us to spend time with you. We believe everyone deserves a plan, no matter where they're starting. So that first conversation doesn't really take a lot of preparation. It's really just showing up with an open mind. And in that meeting, we're really just getting to understand what is the family trying to accomplish and what are they already doing. And then we would put together a written financial plan that would really get them organized from kind of two phases, like the foundational phase, like how much do we actually need in our emergency fund? If we have any debt, what's a good game plan for the debt? How do we maximize any benefits we have through our employers or through the government, depending on the situation? Should we have life insurance? Should we own long-term disability coverage to protect our incomes in case we get sick? If we're aging or nearing retirement, should we own long-term care insurance to make sure that we're never a burden to anybody else? So that's kind of the foundational pieces of a plan. And then when it comes to like building the rest of the house, the kitchen, the master bathroom, like the fun part, how much do we need to be investing? How can we invest? How can we avoid taxes? Just all things, like all the way down to credit scores, budgeting. It's all wrapped up into a personalized financial plan for the families we meet with. And then that second meeting's just nothing but education. There's no fee for the plan. And that really allows the client in a no pressure environment to get the education they need to feel empowered. And then from there, it's really just determining, do we want to partner together moving forward?
Love that. Let me rewind a little bit. There's
Yeah,
no cost to this
no,
first initial meeting, and you don't have to
no,
have a certain
there's no
amount.
cost to having a plan the second meeting.
I love that.
So any cost is really built in if the client takes action. There's investment fees, there's insurance commissions, but none of that ultimately happens unless the client sees value and wants to take action. And I've found that if you lead someone to water, they typically will take the water. And so that's never really been a fear of mine, to provide these things with no cost. And I found it really puts the client in a situation where there is no pressure.
Thank you for painting such a beautiful picture. I love that like house analogy of, okay, we're here just to talk about the foundation, and then we can build on from that. Yeah, that first initial meeting, it really sounds like that you're also giving hope, kind of like showing them the light at the end of that tunnel a little bit, that they can feel more empowered instead of powerless when it comes to their finances. So just kind of laying that out for them, showing them that this is attainable to reach whatever that financial goal is. So thank you for painting that so beautifully, Joel. Stephanie, did you put on?
Yeah, I'm going to chime in real quick because I just, I'm smiling because, and I think that our community of viewers right now will appreciate this. The way that I think about the way in which we approach the financial planning process really has to go hand in hand with executive function skills. So, it's tapping into that frontal lobe of breaking things down into bite-sized pieces and then building out a linear plan. So first, then, and finally, which is a really nice way to walk through the process of gaining peace of mind when it comes to finances and when it comes to that long-term planning process.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And again, I want to share that it does take some vulnerability to talk about money to some people. And so it sounds like you guys are creating that safe space for them and really getting to know them too and their family on a personal level to build that trust from what I hear as you were sharing, Joel, really getting to know the family. So thank you for sharing that. Let's say there's a family, they're ready to get started like today. Is there a wait list for that first initial meeting? Is it just based off of schedules? Where do they come to your office? Kind of what does the logistics of that look like?
That's a great question. We try to remove as much of the red tape as possible. We know what it feels like to just want something and then be met with a long wait list. So we're open for business. We reach out to families, typically have a quick conversation of getting something scheduled on the books. We can turn it around in as close to 24 hours of business day. Really just finding that time that works best on the calendar side of things. But to your point about where do these meetings take place, that's the beauty of a virtual world. We can do in person, we can do virtual. Joel and I work out of the Rookwood office in Cincinnati, but we are not limited to the zip code of that area. So we can meet with whomever, wherever, via Zoom.
Yep.
Awesome. I love that, especially when we're talking about this population specifically, because childcare is hard, especially if there's a kiddo who has extra needs to care for. And then also just going into an unknown meeting, the caregiver may even be anxious, so let alone bringing, having to bring somebody with them as well. So thank you for that flexibility. It sounds like you really meet the families where they are. So thank you for sharing that.
And Samantha,
go ahead, Steph.
Oh, I was going to say, I think that's a really nice segue into, you bring up a really important point that is worth spending some time on, and it's that emotional nervousness, if you will, and that weight that oftentimes is felt approaching these types of conversations, especially when there is a compounding factor of a special need. And I think this is a really great opportunity for me to share a little bit about my background and how it works in tandem with this space, and in particular, what Joel and I are talking about right now.
Yes, I would love that. Thank you so much, Stephanie.
Perfect. I'll keep it short. I'll do the elevator pitch version. But essentially, my background is special education and psychology. I started my first iteration of my professional career in the special education space. Hence why I'm a big fan of executive functioning and everything that happens in that frontal lobe. But it's very intentional, the path that led me into the financial space, non-traditional, but intentional. And it was being a decade plus in the education, special ed education space, and running a one-to-one education model school in Seattle, Washington, where I really saw the financial piece front and center. You can imagine how magical a one-to-one education setting is, but on the flip side of that, you can also imagine the price tag that comes with that. And so, I really thought to myself, how can I position myself professionally to be a sounding board and a resource for families to help set themselves up so that if they ever do have to cross a bridge where they have to make a big financial decision for their dependent with special needs or for their family system, they have options. So it is hugely important to me that people understand where I'm coming from professionally, because there is a lot of emotional weight, if you will, that comes with these conversations and compounded by having a dependent with a special need. And it's important to me that that is acknowledged and that is checked in upon as we're planning.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing your passion and some of your background. I think that's really, really important, especially to our viewers, to share that you have seen the other side of things, and it does look different when you are caring for somebody who has those extra, whether it's medical needs, therapies,
Yeah.
and also, just to be quite frank, what happens when that person is gone, and is there a financial plan moving forward? And those can be really tough conversations. So thank you for sharing that. Joel, you mentioned that you bring fun into it to kind of lighten it up a little bit. Do you want to share a little bit of how you do that when you are talking about something that can be so heavy and emotional for our families?
Yeah, I think it can be an exciting topic if you just look at it from a different lens. Like the power a family can have of working together towards the same goal, and really dreaming about what do we want in the future. A lot of families don't spend time even thinking about the future because they're really caught in the day to day. And so being able to pull someone out of that and helping them think long term and creating that vision and creating potential goals, even if it's not realistic in the next 3 or 5 years, I think that could be really exciting. And I joke around a lot. I try to have fun. I lighten it up. I know that it's awkward to talk about money. I know there's tension often in the room when I have spouses kind of giving their viewpoints on a topic and there's disagreement. So I'm calling it out and I'm making light of it. I'm making it fun. I'm encouraging people, really, no matter what stage they're in. Just the fact that they're taking a step to take this seriously is such a big deal. It's really like you don't hire a personal trainer because you're in shape.
Mm.
Like it's the same way with money. A lot of people think, oh, once I achieve this balance or once I have this in order, I can go and meet with an advisor. But really, no, like the best time to start is now. Like time is a real advantage. And I think a lot of hope is gained in just looking forward. Yes, we need to learn from the past, but I think it's the looking forward and dreaming about the future and mapping out that plan. I think it's fun. I think it's exciting.
Yeah, it sounds encouraging,
Yeah.
as well. And I love how you've kind of flipped that script and shifted that mindset of, yes, this is, it could be hard to talk about, and it could also be encouraging when we lay it out and we can work together as a team. So thank you.
Yeah, I think our industry does a bad job of kind of making the spender the bad person and the saver's the good person. And I think both need to be celebrated.
Love
Like,
that.
and I think that's the same with like a lot of other topics in money, that it can kind of get one dimensional and this person's good, but this person's bad. And it's like, well, no, you guys wouldn't be having any fun if it wasn't for the spender.
I love
Like,
that.
and thank goodness for the saver because you actually have some money in case something happens. So I just I take advantage of opportunities to lighten the situation. And it's really not that scary. Like it's scary to be in it, but it's not as scary when you have a plan.
Love that. Thank you.
So I'm gonna piggyback off that if that's okay.
Yes, please. The floor is
So
yours.
And I think Joel, I really appreciate you addressing the piece of it where you alleviate that fear, the fear of the unknown, and that's what a plan does. It sheds some light on the path forward. I also think it goes hand in hand, Samantha, with what you said about, you raised a pretty big question. That's a real question and very, very difficult to address head on. But it's that what happens when my dependent outlives me, and that's the way it should be. And so, being able to confidently put pieces in place so that at the end of the day, you've buttoned up everything possible to make sure that when that happens, your dependent has the same continuity of care, the same quality of life, and that they're good for the remainder of their life. That's really powerful.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that keeps a lot of families up at night, and that's something that crosses their minds. And Joel, as you also shared, it's hard to think ahead when you are stuck in that day-to-day life and just surviving and thinking about today. And so what that can feel very overwhelming, right? And what would you say to a family that is feeling that at this moment where they just feel overwhelmed, they don't know where to start, and maybe even embarrassed? What would you say to that family, or what advice would you give?
I think it starts with taking a step back for a minute and celebrating the fact that they're even talking about it. So like a lot of times I'm sitting in front of, let's say it's a married couple and they're 40 years old and they're super nervous about retirement. They feel behind. Well, they have 25 years to figure it out. That's a long time. And so like just in that moment, spending some time encouraging them that like, you're going to be okay. I don't know anything about your money, but I know we're going to map out a plan and you have time on your side. That's just one example. I think just a little boost of encouragement to let them know that they're normal and they're okay. Because a lot of times they're like, am I doing okay in comparison to the other people you're meeting with? And it's like, well, that's all relative because everyone has different viewpoints of money and they think they need a certain different balance to achieve happiness. And that goal is ever elusive if you don't have a finish line or a plan mapped out. And so it would be kind of different for each family, Samantha, where we would be really looking at, okay, what are like the most important things? What do we need to like figure out in the next 3 months in order for you to feel stable? And that might be, let's start saving $200 a month into your emergency fund. Let's check back in 3 months and see how you're doing. Like that actually might be a first baby step, or it might be, let's figure out how to handle this credit card debt. It's not all just about investing. And I think a lot of people kind of feel that way with our industry. I just think the fact of taking the step to look at it is such a big thing. It's like that doctor visit where you haven't done the right things this year, your health isn't that great, you're really not looking forward to it. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like it's a necessary thing to go see the doctor to make sure that you're going to be okay.
I appreciate your growth mindset, and I really appreciate your analogies. You have a wonderful way of explaining things. So I love that. And you're here, right? Like you're here. It means that's the first step. You're already doing more than what most people are doing. So
absolutely.
Yeah, thanks. Stephanie, did you want to touch on that?
I mean, I think Joel nailed it, but to also add on, not only are you taking that first step and that's such a celebratory moment, but you also are gaining someone who's going to be on your team, on your side of the court the entire time. It's not a one and done. It's not, okay, here you go, here's your plan, bye, good luck. We meet with our clients every 6 months, at a minimum once a year, but you have a person, you have somebody to help you through this so that you're not doing it alone.
Thank you. Yes. And I love that, that team, right? They're not alone in this, and you're going to be there to help celebrate all those wins No, there's no such thing as a small win, it sounds like. Do you want to share a little bit more about what that team looks like and how you guys work as a network?
Yeah. So Samantha, great point about the building of a team, if you will. So Joel and I are a team. We partner and team with our families and with our clients, but I think it's really important to also recognize an additional team that's important to have on board when you are dealing with planning for a special needs family. And that team, quote unquote, should really comprise of folks who are strategically positioned to help make sure every angle and every perspective is covered for your family and for your dependent. And members of that team include a financial advisor or planner like Joel and I, a government benefits specialist. So making sure that you're connected with somebody who has turned over every rock, every leaf to make sure there's no money being left on the table that your dependent or your family might be qualified for. An elder law attorney. So an elder law attorney is very, very important because these are the folks who are really skilled in writing special needs trusts, which are different and more nuanced than a traditional trust. So it's very important that that distinction is made to ensure that when you are not here anymore, everything is ironclad and buttoned up. And then you would like to probably have a CPA on board too, because this stuff can sometimes get complicated. So it's nice to have a team that's all working in the same wavelength, if you will, to ensure that everything is good to go. All I's are dotted and T's are crossed.
Perfect. I love that. And really showing that this is an actual team of people. It's not just you and the person into this, because there's so many layers to this, right?
It's building your tribe.
Yeah, your tribe. Yes, love that. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being here and sharing this wonderful information that I think will be super helpful to our viewers. I will have your contact information linked into this video. If anybody wants to contact Stephanie or Joel, they're ready to help you. So feel free to contact them. That wraps up our coffee talk for this morning, and enjoy the rest of your coffee and stay tuned for next time. Bye.